We of course come to the tablet for Helm's Brigade in this assault. Position here really more for the left half of the brigade than all of the brigade, but their tablet on the battlefield here for this attack. And what is that old grassy field? It's actually a unique ecological community called a cedar glade. The geology in this region is layer upon layer of limestone. Remember, I walk over here, I had you pause and note that that spine of limestone sticking out of the ground. And many of us who live here know we've got a lot of experience on just how the geology of this region is layer upon layer of limestone, because we've tried to erect a mailbox post at the end of our driveway. And after taking your post hole digger and slamming it into the ground and have it go about a quarter of an inch, and you snatch up that little bit and put it aside, you look back in your hole and there's this light gray substance that's now scarred up in the surface. Digging a hole around here can be difficult, but in many places this limestone is so close to the surface that it's actually exposed. Now, the spine that I showed you back there, it's a little bit exposed there because of erosional effects because of that trail. But there's still the exposed limestone there, and between rain and live animals and fire, some of that limestone gets abraded, and it's lime. And some of you all have certainly gardened or maybe had plants, and you've had your soil tested, and the soil's a little bit too acidic, they say. And what do they tell you to do? Add lime. And if you add a lot of lime relatively, then you're going to have basic soil. And some plants actually like soil that is more basic as opposed to neutral or acidic. This exposed limestone being dissolved into the soil makes the soil very basic, and many plants won't grow in it, and some plants like that environment. And at the time of the Civil War, there was a large cedar glade here that began on the crest of this rise almost 200 yards down in that direction. And it stretched north along the crest of this low rise of ground for a mile to the north, all the way across Reed's Bridge Road. Now, beginning with the advent of National Park Service management here in the 1930s, and having adopted the directives of Smokey the Bear, what has the National Park Service, until very recently, done here on the Chickamauga battlefield? Suppressed fire. You no longer have fire as a element, and it was a key part of the landscape here, the forested environment here. And with no fire, the deciduous trees around the edges of the cedar glades drop their leaves year after year, and as the leaves lay there on the ground, they rot away. They turn into, well, depending upon the type of leaf, yes, oak, which would then reduce the nature of the basic soil, but they turn into soil, which allows other seeds to land on them and grow. And if it's deciduous, then they grow up and drop leaves. And what has literally happened in the last about 90 years is this cedar glade that was once a mile long and 150 or 200 yards wide, so 75 or 100 yards either side of the crest. this cedar glade has been squeezed down today to just little nodules. Now, I also asked you when we paused on our walk out, and I pointed out that spine of limestone, also asked you to note the kind of open area there. Now, yes, there are some recently cut trees there, which increases that, that open area. But the reason that that area still had some openness was it's a remnant of the cedar glade. Part of the reason why this area right over here, this grassy area between the edge of the woods and Alexander Bridge Road, part of the reason why it is open is not just the fact that it periodically gets mowed, but also because it's a remnant of the cedar glade. And if you walk on up the trails that go northward from here, you will walk through little pockets, remnant pockets of that once very large cedar glade. And this is an important feature in the landscape at the time, because for the Union Army, for the Union troops behind their line over here, this now for them is what? Open fields of observation and open fields of fire. And what now has Helm's Brigade advanced out into? That open ground. And as they advance, they come under fire of the Federals in even greater intensity. The Major Moss of the 2nd Kentucky now writes, he's the left of, well, actually, I think I'll wait and do that here in just a second. But try to imagine this as a much larger open area at the time. And so those stumps that you saw, some of the brown vegetation right here is another stab at trying to get this cedar glade to grow back out, to become healthier once again. This area had been thinned once, had started to grow up again. The person who was then directing this project has retired. But another staff member has now taken it on, and so we have started once again thinning the understory here, and in an effort to encourage those little plants that should be growing in the cedar glade, and there are still some of them here. We have thinned the number of trees. That's the stumps that you saw over there, so that we can hopefully get this population to start growing more. Actually, this winter we hope to be able to burn that area over there, and if we can get some more of this cleaned up, maybe even burned in here as well, to reduce the amount of duff material on the forest floor that is allowing seeds of plants that we don't want to be growing here to actually grow. And so it's all part of hopefully restoring the cedar glade here to help make this make more sense to you all as you experience or want to experience what happens with Helm's Brigade. All right, any questions or observations here? All right, let's walk on down.